You wanna know what's funny, right? The average cost of rent rose up from $2,000 to $3,000, right? And if you're supposed to make 3 times the amount of your rent in order to qualify to be able to rent a place, that means you had to make $9,000 a month, meaning you had to make over $90,000 a year, right? Come here. That means even if you were to make $25 an hour at your job, you still would not be able to afford to stay at a place by yourself. And people are saying, oh, we'll just get a roommate. Nobody likes roommates. And you can't even rely on the roommate to either come up with their half of the rent. And if anything, they're more of a liability. Putting their name on the lease is even more stressful. And notice how we're just talking about renting. We're not talking about getting a house because virtually that's just impossible at this point. So yes, none of this is fun. Being an adult isn't fun.
So I got a letter from my apartment complex to Miss Rachel Peterson Connolly. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but basically if Ty and I choose to renew our lease in August, it's gonna cost us $4,008 a month. We live in a 2-bed, 2-bath in South Denver. Just so you don't think I'm making it up, we would be paying almost as much as my parents do for a 7-bedroom, 11-acre house. Colorado, y'all are on some crack cocaine.
Food has become so unaffordable in this city that even people employed with full-time jobs can no longer buy groceries. That's according to a new report by Feed Scarborough Food Bank, which has seen a startling 112% increase in visits since last year.
112%.
The demand for food banks has skyrocketed right across the city. And a new report released by Feed Scarborough is digging into why, uncovering troubling stats. Almost a third of their clients are employed.
Think about it. You're working 40 hours a week, but you still cannot afford food, which is a basic human right.
More than half of those employed reported low income as their reason for accessing a food bank. What does that say to you?
That says that we have precarious employment, number one. That says that our housing and other expenses are so high that they are often food is somewhere where they compromise.
But some don't even have the option to work. 72% of Feed Scarborough clients have been in Canada for less than a year, like Brigitte, who arrived to Canada from Uganda 3 months ago and is still waiting for a work permit.
I can't pay the bills. I don't have money. I don't have any income.
She can't even work because she's waiting for a piece of paper.
Yeah, I'm still surviving.
She blames stress and a lack of food for a miscarriage she endured when she first arrived. She's now volunteering at the food bank while she waits.
The situations I've passed through, the things I've passed through, have been a lot. And at times I regret, I'm like, why did I live? I would have stayed there, but...
She's probably better off in Uganda.
You say, okay, you have to face it.
Imagine that as well.
And life has to move on. If someone wants to work, they should allow us to work immediately.
The report also found 95% of food bank users were not born in Canada, and 89% are living in rental properties. Advocates believe a lack of affordable housing is one of the primary reasons why people need to access food banks, which have become what's being described as a Band-Aid solution.
You've got basement apartments here in Scarborough going for $2,000. The median income is something like $39,000 here. It's really, really hard for people to be able to afford living. There's some really hard decisions.
Math doesn't add up.
Should I pay rent? Should I pay for food on the table?
Advocates are calling on all levels of government to address the disparities. We're told no political leaders have responded to this particular report just yet.
Imagine having to choose between paying rent or buying food. Well, this is currently happening in Canada, guys. Open your eyes. This is happening in Trudeau's Canada because he's been in power for the last 8 years. You know, him and his party, they don't give a shit about immigrants. To them, all they are is a ticket to get reelected. And I'm so happy that the immigrants are looking at it differently now. Sort of like a revolution against the Liberal Party. Right? Who gives a shit if they can't afford or they don't have access to affordable housing or food? A basic human right. So how does the government, Trudeau's government respond? Let's bring in more. Let's double down. Canada aims to welcome 465,000 new permanent residents in 2023, 485,000 in 2024, and 500,000 in 2025. Listen, it doesn't matter if we can't, provide basic human needs to the immigrants that we bring in, as long as we're doing something about climate change, right, guys? This is Trudeau's Canada.
letter from my apartment complex to Miss Rachel Peterson Connolly. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but basically, if Ty and I choose to renew our lease in August, it's gonna cost us $4,008 a month. We live in a 2-bed, 2-bath in South Denver. Just so you don't think I'm making it up, we would be paying almost as much as my parents do for a 7-bedroom, 11-acre house. Colorado, y'all are on some crack cocaine.
Hey, I need somewhere to live. Y'all got anything available?
Yeah, we got so many apartments. What are you looking for?
Like, I don't know, like a 2-bed, 1-bath. I need like an office space.
Yeah, for sure. So you need a half bed, no bath. We got a few of those. Our cheapest one comes in about $3,500 a month. You need to be making about $350,000 a year. Sound good?
No, who makes that much fucking money?
If you're just broke, just say that, bro. I'm trying to... You want an apartment or not?
Is there any, like, wiggle room on any of that?
No. Also, you need to pay an extra $2,000 a month for the trash that we're not going to collect. Sign right here.
What's your state's minimum wage? Like, what state do you live in, and what is the
I'm going to just sit this right here. And I live in Texas. Yeah, you see, that's Texas. And that makes absolutely no sense. And not only that, hold on. Who can live off that? Who can live off that? And I saw that today. And my thing is, y'all wonder why people not applying. They can't live off of that. What, y'all want to work them like crazy for $11 an hour? Texas minimum wage is $7.25, period. In 2023, that's what it is.
Minimum wage should be at least $20 an hour. Let's do some basic math. $20 an hour at 40 hours a week, that's $800. Let's say they take out of your check $160. Yeah, let's say like roughly about 20% between like your taxes and if you have insurance. That leaves you with $640. Let's multiply that by 4. That's $2,560. The average person right now is paying anywhere from $1,000 to $1,600. Some people pay more in rent. You still have to pay your light bill. If you have cable, you got to pay your cable bill. If you have insurance on your car, cell phone bill, and then if you have any debt. Oh, and let's not forget groceries, because you got to eat, and your gas money. At $20 an hour, it's barely enough. People should not be forced to have a roommate to survive.
A new study has just found that minimum wage laws increase homelessness. And this really isn't at all surprising. This study comes from Seth J. Hill from the University of California, San Diego. California is a state with 30% of the country's homelessness population, but the study looks at cities and states across the entire country. What Hill finds is that when cities raise their minimum wage by 10%, relative homeless counts increase by 3 to 4%. And again, this isn't at all surprising if you're familiar with the economic theory. As economist Thomas Sowell has said, among the effects of a minimum wage law, when it is effective, is that many unskilled and inexperienced workers are priced out of a job when the employers do not find them worth what the law specifies. Wages are based on productivity. If your productivity is only $7.25 an hour and the minimum wage is $15 an hour, then they're not going to hire the people with lower productivity. The progressives actually used to recognize this back in the 20s and 30s when they supported eugenics. There are numerous examples of articles and journal papers written by eugenicists where they advocated for minimum wage laws because they would price African Americans, women, disabled people, and other undesirables out of the market. The empirical evidence also overwhelmingly supports the economic theory surrounding this. This is a great paper from David Newmark and Peter Shirley, two labor economists. They review a ton of studies on the relationship between minimum wage laws and job loss. And they find that an overwhelming amount, 79% of studies, or if we're just looking at statistically significant studies, 53% show negative effects. The focus should not be on minimum wage. It should not be on putting a price floor on wages. The focus should be on creating more jobs so that there's more competition in hiring people so that wages go up. Also creating more productivity so workers are more productive and their wages go up. Also in actually preserving our purchasing power, which the government isn't doing very well. We still have inflation today. People shouldn't be worried about minimum wage laws. That's not going to fix the issue. That's just going to be exacerbating the issue. A minimum wage is primarily going to hurt the people that it's supposed to help the most, unskilled and inexperienced workers who have low pay.
So first off, I know that it is way worse than this, what I'm about to show you, in other parts of the United States, but I have to share this. This was posted in my local community page this morning. Available for rent. 2,500 square foot house, 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 2 master bedrooms. Kitchen has granite countertops, stainless steel, they've done paint, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff that they think is like gonna incentivize you, but why would it incentivize me if I don't actually own it? You can only have small pets. Renters responsible for all utilities, no smoking inside the house. There is an apartment in the basement of the house that will be rented separately, so you don't even get the full house. $2,200 per month with a deposit of $2,200 and a pet deposit of $300. Minimum 720 credit score, 3 times the income to rent. As much as I hate math, let's do some. $2,200 a month times 12 is $26,400. When you add in that deposit and the pet fee, $28,900. So you might as well say 30 grand for the year to rent this place. When you do $2,200 a month times 12 and then times it by 3, you get $79,200. And then if you add in that deposit and the pet fee, again, $81,700. So let's go ahead and say that to rent this place, you have to make minimum $82,000 a year. Now, I don't know what you guys consider a small town, but this was the population of my county 2 years ago. 37,188. And the reason I say that is because it's very rare that I go on Indeed in my area and find a job offering more than $13 to $14 an hour. If you make $80,000, $90,000 a year, you're probably going to buy. You're going to buy before you absolutely cannot buy at this point. So the reason I tie in the population and the general wage in this area is because the people that are making $13 to $14 an hour, yeah, they can't afford that, but they're the people that are renting. And just to further this perspective, I quit my last company after 3 years. I had gone from part-time to full-time and switched departments, worked my way up, okay? And as someone in accounting, I was only making about $27,000 a year. That is a wage that I was making working as a supervisor at Walmart about 6 to 7 years ago. Stagnant. Wages around here are stagnant. Again, I know it's worse. I know it's worse. Some of you are going to look at that and go, that's a pretty good deal. But knowing my area, that blew my mind to read. That landlord is going to make easily $30,000 just on that, and they didn't disclose the amount of the basement apartment underneath either. So they're probably getting another $20,000, let's say, on that. I'm just throwing out numbers now. Eat the fucking rich. And if you're a landlord that's doing this kind of shit, eat you too.
So I've been seeing this picture floating around Facebook and such recently. It's said to be coming from 1955 and showing the housing prices and how much they've changed. So I got curious. Just to give you an idea, that house, the 2-bedroom one, would be about $54,000 right now. And if we went by the monthly payment, then you would be paying about, let's just round up and say $550 a month. Just as a reference, the average monthly cost for a 2-bedroom apartment is about $1,320. And based off of the research I could find, that's about right. However, I want to relate this to a real-world scenario, so let's compare that 2-bedroom house to the minimum wage, shall we? So in 1955, the minimum wage was 75 cents an hour. That would mean that if you worked a minimum wage, it would take you 64 hours to pay your mortgage payment, which, given the 40-hour work week, is certainly doable. Now, if you were working minimum wage now, in order to pay off a 2-bedroom apartment, it would take you 182 hours on minimum wage. Remember, there's about 160 hours in a month, given the 40-hour work week. However, in 1955, the minimum wage was also raised from 75 cents an hour to $1 an hour, which means that in order to pay that mortgage payment, you would actually only need to work 48 hours a month. Basically, that means that if you were working a minimum wage job now, then you would be working about 3 times harder than anyone who was buying a house in the 1950s. Shit's expensive, yo.